Good evening. I would like to make a motion to open the meeting. May I have a first? Bill, a second. Lisa, all in favor? I'll take another motion to go into executive session for purposes of legal and personnel. Alex, Bruce, all in favor? All right, thank you. The board has returned from executive session and there were no actions taken. Can I have a motion to open the meeting? First, Lisa, second, Kate, all in favor? Let's rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. This month, we are fortunate to have a presentation from students from the Goose Hill Primary Center.
Hi, my name is Jackson. Thank you for inviting us here to present. We have been learning and having so much fun here at Goose Hill. Let's start by sharing what we are learning in some of our main subjects. Kindergarten has been learning to grade sentences in writing workshop. First grade has been learning how to pick some topics on how to give a dog a bath, how to hit a dog, how to make a pizza, and how to make a burger.
Hi, my name is Ruby. In math, kindergarten has been learning number pairs and addition and subtraction up to 10 using number bonds. We are comparing numbers, learning place value, and adding numbers with tens and ones. Kindergarten has learned all about push and pull forces in science. First grade now knows all about lights and sound waves. We used our observational skills to see how different papers were transparent, opaque, translucent, and transparent. We used different tuning forks to experiment sound. Hi, my name is Ori. In social studies, first graders are learning about needs versus wants. We are also learning about goods and services. We are also learning about formal directions. We all have been earning our scooter licenses in physical education. It has been so much fun. We even have a scooter city to ride around. And with a gas station, a pool, a gym, a mechanic, a bank, a restaurant, and a bowling alley. We love to play ball. We play a Goose version of bowling called Pin-Down. Hi, my name is Madeline. Miss Albanese has been teaching us so much. Kindergartners may play fish, first graders may play hockey. We are now making fabric collages based on square clips of the artist's faith removed. In music, we are learning about rhythm and beat. We also get to learn play instruments such as the drums, the sand scraper, and the xylophone. Mr. Abel even demonstrates other harmonies, like the ukulele and the trumpet. Hi, my name is Julia. During hybrid, we have
But the book wandered to our school. We learned it's important to be kind to others because we are all unique and different.
Thank you
For letting us share what we have been doing at BOE this year.
Thank you so very much. Are there any questions from the board over at Goose Hill students? Did anyone ask anything?
Hi, what is your favorite thing to learn about this? What's your favorite thing?
We'll need a hand when I'm all the way in the back. Come on down. Another hand here. Same.
I have a question. If we bring our driver's licenses, can we come ride a scooter at recess, or do we have to go through the scooter protocol?
Thank you so very much. That was wonderful. We'll do one. Can we do one picture with them? Come on down. One more picture.
Anything you need to know about my house, I'll just ask her. She'll tell you. Hello. Good, how are you?
Very well.
Bye, great job.
Thank you.
Can you take a picture of me?
I'll do more another time. Don't worry.
She's so shy.
I know.
So bad.
Ready? As the president of the board, here are my updates to the public. I'd like to welcome everyone back. I hope you and your families had a wonderful Passover and Easter, able to enjoy a restful spring break. It was a pleasure to welcome our West Side students back into the building. It was a very special moment to see the halls once again filled with the familiar energy of our students. On behalf of the Board of Education, I would like to extend our sincere appreciation to our administration under the leadership of Joe Monastero for their dedication and his tireless efforts during this challenging year. Their work ensured students were able to continue their education in other buildings with minimal disruption while also supporting the swift restoration of West Side School. We also want to recognize our teachers and staff who work diligently behind the scenes to restore classrooms and prepare warm, welcoming spaces for students to return. We are also deeply appreciative of the generosity shown through donations from the Education Foundation, as well as from students, staff, and community members. Your support has made a meaningful difference. What we continue to see is a community that comes together in support of the school. Because of that shared effort, Westside is moving forward with great pride and optimism. Tonight, we will have another budget presentation from our Assistant Superintendent of Business, Dr. Armin Saltano. The budget process is a months-long effort that begins with administrators developing a proposal based on student needs, academic priorities, staffing, and operational costs. The Board of Education then reviews it in public work sessions, asks questions, and makes adjustments to ensure alignment with district goals and responsible use of taxpayer funds. There are multiple opportunities for the public input and transparency throughout the process. After revisions, the board will vote on a final proposed budget, which is then placed on the ballot for community approval.
Thank you. Thank you. Good evening, members of the Board of Education, students, staff, families, and members of our community. Welcome to the April 14th Board of Education meeting. I want to begin by recognizing what continues to make First Republic such a special place. Our students, our staff, and a community that consistently shows up in support of our community. Today marks the 35th day since the fire at West Side School. And I'm incredibly proud to share that our students have returned to where they belonged yesterday, their home, West Side School. Walking through the building, you can feel a sense of comfort, pride, and normalcy that reminds us why this work matters so deeply. This moment was made possible by an extraordinary collective effort. I want to extend my sincere thanks to our students, our staff, our administrators, parents, community members, the Board of Education, firefighters, restoration staff, and cleaners, and so many more. Everyone came together with a shared purpose, and because of that unity, we were able to restore not just the building, but a sense of home for our children. Our students themselves captured this feeling better than anyone else could. They've Poker shared, "It just feels so normal to be back here after being in a new school for 3 weeks. And normalcy sounds pretty perfect to me." He also expresses gratitude to the firefighters who helped make that return possible. Wesley gave the entire effort an 11 out of 10. And Maggie, speaking with News 4, said she's very excited to come back to West Side School. We still have work ahead of us. We're now in the final stages of preparing our temporary learning spaces for the Library and Creative Learning Lab, and we expect them to be operational sometime next week. Then we'll need to plan on what to replace the lost space that happened in last year. We also look ahead. Many of our cherished traditions continue, now with even greater meaning. The West Side Run on May 17th will be especially significant this year, followed by the 100 PTG Run on May 31st, where I once again will find myself in the downtown. Across the district, there is also so much more to celebrate. This week, over 10 students will compete in the speech and debate tournament at Bronx Science High School. With the ELA assessments will take place on April 16th and 17th for grades 3 through 8, providing our students with an opportunity to show off their skills and knowledge. The 100 PTG VIP dance is this Friday. Superhero Day at Goose Hill Parade is also Friday. Westside Talent Show will be held on April 24th in the PAC. And we have a literary luncheon that will take place next week on April 23rd. Each of these events reflects the strength and vibrancy of our school community. Finally, an update on the teacher's contract. I want to note that since receiving the fact finder report prior to this recess, which we shared with the community on March 31st, we promptly reached out to the HTA in an attempt to bring this matter to resolution. Just this afternoon, the HTA contacted me to set up dates to meet. We already responded tonight with a date for us to meet with them. We are grateful for the efforts of the independent appointed state fact finder for all of his efforts. In closing, while the past several weeks have tested us, we also have revealed the very best of who we are. The spirit, compassion, and resilience in this community have been nothing short of extraordinary. Thank you for your continued partnership, trust, and support. I look forward to the work ahead of us to celebrate many more successes together. Thank you for coming here tonight, and thank you for being a central part of the Closement Heart family. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. This is the first discussion section of our agenda. I open the floor to any discussion items from members of the Board of Education.
Please come. No, you.
I had an item I wanted to discuss here, which is that we have a board representative for the Ed Foundation, but I'm wondering, and it may be that there are too many organizations, but I'm wondering for, is the Booster Club, if there should be a board representative for the Arts Booster Club and the Sports Booster Club, similar to Ed Foundation.
Thoughts on that?
It's always been that they were supposed to come, a representative from each of those organizations comes to CPC to report out, but for those two organizations in particular, just a discussion, but whether or not there's other organizations, or if we don't think so, but it would make sense to have a board representative, a liaison, for those two organizations, because they do so much to support our school and our communities. Yep.
At one point, we had the practice of, you recall, I don't know when, who was on the board of Selectmen, where we did meet with SEPTO and the Booster Club.
All of the organizations would come to a
and
board
special board meeting. We couldn't enter into a back and forth because more than a board was present. It was really a listening session where you could listen.
Well, there's enough of us, though, that for each organization, that perhaps, I think it's worth looking into, because I do think that more could probably be done. Yes, more could be done, and I think particularly in the arts this year, we've heard a lot about that, and I think that I have a tendency, personally, probably with kids who play a lot of sports, to think about that, but I'm also the daughter of an art teacher. I was involved in music and the arts all through my schooling, and I just think I don't want to see us not focusing on areas that I think a bunch of us do really, truly care about. So, there's lots of things that I think each of us could, if everyone took one committee perhaps, and it's just attending 1 or 2 meetings a year. I think I was the liaison for the Ed Foundation. It wasn't every board meeting that you have to go to for them either, but it could, I think, help to eliminate some of the disconnect and also help us to bring back information to each other. Members, I know we already spend so much time in meetings, but I don't want to sign us all up for extra meetings, but I just thought that it would be a nice way for us to be more involved with the community and sort of have listening ears in different areas. So, something for us to flesh out for, I think it would be for the next school year, is what I'm thinking. But, when we do our board committees, I'm looking into, that wasn't my discussion portion, but, when we do our board committees, maybe that's something to add on to it as well. And I just want to make sure we're not leaving anything out too, so we need to talk about this.
So it's like it could be more than just arts and sports based. We'll look at them
Yeah,
all.
SEPTO, focus, school improvement. I don't want to overstate too, and not somebody on everything. Yeah.
Thank you. I think feedback is great. I mean, I wish the heads of the groups would, or the head of, CPC come do a presentation to us, hear more perspectives.
And I think it used to be also that, and I know when I first joined the board, I had a little more flexibility with work, but that board members could go to more of the meetings, and it's very hard to attend them during the workday
Yeah,
also.
during the
So
day.
I think, to your point,
Yeah,
Right, of
I would
course.
love to see more parents come to meetings, more people get up to the podium, more people ask for what they would like to see. We're parents or volunteers. I mean, you only get out of this district what you put into it, and you can't just come when you have a problem. Why don't you come also when you have a suggestion or an idea, or just listen and know what goes on in the district, because if you sit through the budget session, you're gonna find out some interesting stuff tonight. There's a lot going on. So, anyway, my 3 things I wanted to bring up was, didn't we do a lunch survey? Whatever happened with that? Did we ever get the results?
yeah, it was supposed to meet again, and then there was the fire. It
Yeah.
was like the day of the fire.
I think you're right. It was the day, it was the
our-
meeting.
our
Oh,
meeting.
okay.
Yeah, so
I'm just
it was
wondering if
postponed.
want to get feedback on
They
that.
have to move on.
Make the,
We had all the results and we had it in the, we looked at it, but again, that day or the next day was
We're
the
on
meeting.
nutrition.
just looking for the, conclusions.
Yeah, 6th graders love the lunch up there, so I guess it's all perspective.
Yeah, it's more selection, right? I heard that. So then I asked a question at a prior board meeting. We went paperless if you so opted for that, and I said I put one child in for paperless, one for the old, send it in the mail. I don't notice a difference, and you were gonna look into that, let me know, like what, or let us know. Is there a difference, and is there any detail there?
I will be honest, I think that was at the March 10th meeting. You asked me to do that. I didn't dig deep into it. I will be honest.
You know what? We have had a couple things going
Yeah.
on, so fair answer. No, okay, we just want to stay on top of that. But
Yep.
you've been going above and beyond, so, of course. The last meeting, as the attempt to get a third language in the district crashed and burned once again, second year in a row. And I looked up some other districts of our size and our quality, we can argue. They all have 3 to 4 languages they offer their students. We're still at 2. And I just wanted to ask the board if there's any will to add a third. I mean, we did take a survey. We usually don't get good responses to surveys. We had a strong student and parent response for that survey. If we're going to launch a third language, it does have to start in 7th grade. We can't keep throwing this out in 9th grade and hoping for the best. We get, 5 kids or less signing up every year. If the board seriously wants to add a third language, which I believe a district like ours should have 3 language offerings, and I understand it's not easy to have 3 languages, but these other districts seem to be managing 3 to 4. And if it is, I hope we take a serious look at it and get it done next year, because I guess it's too late this year. I think the reason why it's I'm assuming that's why, because there was actually great interest in a third language, and they picked a third language. I think if it was offered when you have to make a decision early on, it would be certainly. I think it would take off.
I'm just curious, what language did you want there? Was there like something you wanted there to be as a third language? I'm just wondering, was it? Yeah. Oh, it was Italian. Okay.
I
Okay.
know this is like, it's not
Kim, can I just have you?
Anytime that you're looking at language programs, I think it actually is nice to start seeding the interest in language in the upper elementaries. And if you look around at many districts that have flourishing language programs, they really start them young just through basic exposure, through a push-in plus program where they're starting to experience all the different types of language in a really short burst, but just to understand speaking different languages and what it's all about. And then I agree that, in middle school is where then you start really planting, right, those seeds that you began, right, to sprout and helping to support them. Keep in mind that if you are trying to split our world language program, we do have small class size, and then you are starting to look at being able to support classes that may run lower than other classes that we might be comfortable with. So, and you're also adding FTEs, right, if we think about it in terms of teaching. So if we're going to start that in 7th grade and you're looking at a split school teacher, how many sections can we fill? And then finding that person that probably has some dual language capabilities, at least in the very early beginnings, because we might not be able to fill a full FTE. So we would ask them to teach both Italian and Spanish, or both Italian and something else, in order to keep them whole, because it is always more difficult to find a part-time language person. So those are some things, just off the top of my head, that would be, areas that we would need to address if we're really going to marry to adding a third language in the district.
So there was a teacher that was already on staff that was going to teach Italian if it went live, so we wouldn't have to, right?
It was one out of cert. I don't think they're certified. It would have been one out of cert. I don't want to. Am I correct? It was one out of cert.
I think that's unfortunately the teacher resigned at the beginning of the year, and
Gotcha.
he was certified in Italian. So we would need to find someone who was certified in that, or someone teach out of certification.
And do you think it's the language class selection that's, because we tried to launch it and had less kids sign up. I'm asking, I had hoped that we would select Latin as the extra language, and I wondered whether or not parents would encourage their children to sign up for that, just as it prepares you for, I mean, life in general, but I took Latin and I really struggled through it for 2 years, and I can't believe as an adult I'm encouraging anyone to have children suffer through Latin again. But I do think that it's beneficial, and certainly when you think about maybe SATs are required again, I mean, there could be, I would think, more of a parental drive also when you sign up for that, but I could be wrong.
I would have to do some research in terms of the total number of Latin teachers that are out there also, right? So that's
sound like 1,000 years
so,
old.
so
Wait,
it-
yeah.
you know, it's also about the pool of candidates that we can get, and certainly parental,
Yeah. And
community support additionally.
We had Latin here a while ago, I'm gonna say maybe 15 to 20 years ago. The main teacher retired, and we had a very challenging time to sit at least 2 times. That doesn't mean they're not out there, they're out there.
But the parents also, there was a student and a parent, but they both chose, the student chose Italian, the parents chose Italian. And I'm not pushing Italian, again, I said that before, because I'm of Italian descent, I could care less, honestly. I just want us to have a third language. The school, I went to growing up, they offered Latin, Italian, French, Spanish. They're our size, they made it work, and I'm not asking for 4, I just think 3 would be, and I looked at other area schools that are our size, they're offering Mandarin as well, they're offering, some are offering Latin, some are offering both. So anyway, if we're gonna do it, it's gonna have to be next year, but we should really think about it. And if we're gonna do it, let's do it in 7th and 8th grade, because I looked up, that's when they're launching these other languages. It's not gonna work in 9th. People already invested 2 years in the language.
There's so many things that are in selection instead of.
So we would just either, I don't say what to do or take, come up with which is the language we want to go with. Either Latin or Italian or something else, but Mandarin, we mentioned 3 if not more, and then go forward with that selection and see.
Is it possible if we added a third language, would that create more co-teaching situations for the honors language courses? If you have like a course like French, where some years there's a few kids already taking it's co-taught, but not every year, some of them not for both. It would be a co-seat.
Right, so
Sorry, that's
as
what I
opposed to a
Yeah.
co-teacher, so you're looking, that was one of the elements that I was trying to point out, that we would have to be willing to force it to run and support it in very creative ways, right, initially, as you're launching off the ground. Because the initial launch, you're going to see very small numbers, and if we're going to grab onto it, we have to marry to that and say, we're committed to 1 full-time FTE, no matter what the numbers are going to be, to make sure that we can push this all the way through to the high school level. And that's definitely something that we would have to consider. And then also, like, really start in the younger, the upper elementaries, helping them to recognize like what language is all about and why it is that you want to get into world languages. I mean, I think if we could get a small cohort of 10, 12 students that want to travel all the way through and do successive years of language, I think that's valuable. And it seems like that's what this board would like to see, and that we would believe that that's valuable. So we have to be very creative in what that looks like.
And I think that number is, I think you're right, Kim, that you need to have kids in the class to talk in their different accents and work there. So having a class of 3 or 4 doesn't work too well. And that's in a committee. It'll be their singleton. Like if this is the 3rd period is your French or Italian class, that's the only time you get it. But we we always seem to make it better.
We had a friend who did study as the years progressed, it wasn't really like.
As the challenge there was, we had one teacher who taught Latin, so all of her classes were simultaneous. So, Latin 1 was only period 1, Latin 2 was only period 4. So it was a scheduling nightmare across the board. So somebody by example, one teacher was teaching 6 and 7 hours a day to fit in an independent study to get a child there. Because they also were simultaneous, so that became a challenge. But we were
Were
trying
they
to.
taking it in addition to French or Spanish, or in?
We had someone doing both.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah, some were only Latin, and some did Latin in addition to. It was, because Latin, like you said, is a little bit more unique than some of the other languages.
Yeah, kids were pretty good spelling.
They could get into it. I couldn't get into it. That is fine.
So, as a district, have we ever looked into the idea of college prep work that we do, ECT, SAT? A lot of the parents in the district certainly have gone to private testing and used those companies for private testing. So, have we ever looked into how much we do? Do we do enough? Do we do too little? Because obviously college testing is a very important part of the school district, so it's just a question.
Right, so I don't recall ever having a school-sponsored SAT or ACT course. I don't remember doing that. I don't know if it was even brought up as something we want to offer. So you're saying as a course to take or something additional?
I'm just throwing it out there. Maybe. I mean, it's obviously such an important part, right?
It is.
And so people are going to private places to do that. Is it something we should incorporate into the school? It's just a thought.
Yeah. Just thinking off the top of my head, and anyone else trying to hear, Kim and Brian and Allison. I mean, you want somebody who specializes in that. I mean, some of that is learning the tips and tricks, like you're an SAT tutor, you're an ACT tutor, or learning those topics specifically for the exam. And I would think there are times where it's very concentrated, like the weeks coming up before. So I don't know, and I'm not saying no to this, if it would be a course per se, as opposed to a Saturday or an after school, because that's really, you need your, because first you need 3 hours or 2 hours depending on the exam to do a practice. And that's something we can look into offering it ourselves.
Are we allowed to hire someone that's not a teacher in the district to come and to teach in the PAC, like a review class or multiple review classes?
We brought in, which one is it? Jeanette, if you want to say which.
So, we just finished our second cycle of in-person, on-site SAT prep through method learning.
Okay.
Yes.
So we're doing now.
We are getting ready, we're gearing up to another cycle right before the June SAT administration.
So just for speaking, Jeanette said it's our second cycle of SAT prep through method prep, which is our second year doing it. We did it last year.
An extra charge to families. There's a nominal fee,
Yeah.
yes.
Do you remember how much it is?
I believe it's $350 for 6 sessions of 2 hours each session.
Okay. And do you have to be signed up to an SAT
Yes.
to do it?
Yes,
So
so what,
for like 10th graders who aren't taking the SAT,
they are more than welcome to take it as well for practice.
Well, anyone can take it.
Yes.
Okay.
Plus, you have our online prep through Method Guides, which is through Method Learning, and students now can access that through,
That's like,
yes, Classroom, sorry, too many platforms. So yes,
Is that free?
And-
Jeanette?
that is free.
Okay. And then the 350, how many kids are signing up and attending those?
So I'm pleased to share that we have had close to 10 students per cycle.
The new cycle, did it just open up?
We are going to promote that soon. We're just finalizing the
I'll look for
dates.
the email.
So this is done on after
site.
school or weekends or?
Yes, so in the evening from 6:30 to 9:30 at the high school.
6:30 to 9:30.
during weeknights.
Weekend.
Yep.
You know what, here's that, actually, brings up another similar situation that a few parents have come to me. Mark, you talked about this last year, the course, specifically the one I'm talking about is the science course that's given at, I think it's $500.
Oh, the Regents reviews, yeah.
Yes. So I might be jumping ahead here, given you on the agenda where including certain teachers locally to teach those review classes, and I thought it would be nice to mention it now, being that the room is full, that we actually offer those review sessions at no cost here if the teachers are willing and available to teach them. All teachers have the option to get paid to teach extra, I don't know if you want to call it a shop, it's a review session for each region or each class that they need to take. So the board worked really hard to try to implement that, to try to save the parents from having to pay for those review classes, like the one that I'm specifically talking about for $500. So if you see on the agenda tonight, those teachers, now, Joe, those teachers don't necessarily, not every one of those teachers necessarily will teach it, or they all have the option to teach it.
They have the option. These are 7th and 8th grade courses, so earth sciences aren't here, but we're re-approving them that if they sign up to do these, then they'll be offered. As you alluded to, and as you saw when we released our fact finder, that is one of the topics discussed, wanting to have required region review classes, which was released at the fact finder report with the teachers.
So as of right now, because we didn't sign contracts, it's not required,
Correct.
but it's strongly, encouraged, and they are getting paid. It's not
Correct.
just
They're being paid
on
for that
top
work.
of their salaries, they're getting an hourly wage. So, I just thought it would be helpful for the community, because so many times when I mention that, parents are like, oh, I had no idea. So, it's something that we really fix, for the kids.
And it wouldn't be just for earth science, it would be for
No.
all Regents courses and all
Yeah.
AP courses. No, you're right.
The Regents and AP approvals were on a prior board meeting, and marking period early and marking period free, so that's why
They're already done.
here. These are for the finals prep for our grade 7 and 8 that we're approving.
And I believe a communication went out today or yesterday on Parent Square for people to sign up for AP review sessions? Yes.
I just, Bruce and I both didn't know it was SAT review correctly. Did anybody, did you know?
I think it's new.
Okay. Oh, it started though, right?
Second year.
Second year.
Parent Square went out.
Yes.
Yeah, a
Okay.
couple
Yeah.
parents.
How many years has it been? 2 years?
Yes.
Oh, 2 years.
Yeah.
Second year.
Parent
So,
Square.
I could just, I think that's great. We just need to advertise better because the board, half the board, did you know?
Well, the only problem with Parent Square, I'll tell you, is we use 3 kids in the district, is it goes up all day. So I try to, right, people, yes, we're not, yeah, it goes up all day, and I'm like, oh, that looks great, oh, good, okay, oh, yay, and then by the end of the day, I don't even remember what I saw. So it's not that you're not putting it on there and forgetting it, but it's just, Mark, I wish you try to figure out another way that, whether it's,
Yeah.
there's so many different newsletters and everything. Mr. Gambowski does a letter every week, and there's not enough time in life to read every single thing that comes out all the time. So let's maybe
Yeah, we'll figure something
parents to
out.
audience, send an email if you have a great idea about how we can get better information from the because yes, it's crazy that none of us knew that this is for 2 years and 3 of us have seniors.
Yeah.
Right, so.
It is true, especially if you're someone with kids in multiple buildings and a lot going on, there is, and parents can understand that there could be an overload of there is what's that right balance of communication? Is it too little, too much?
It is nice when they're searchable, but I try to search for something.
Maybe,
I know it's probably there, but I wasn't asking.
I won't be sending daily West Sides anymore, so that'll cut back.
But the guidance staff, when they do the meetings with families, could certainly say, by the way, if you're not aware, that's a touch point that where we should have certain items that the counselors should be communicating to parents, because they're all doing these meetings starting, in the earlier grades, so.
I do believe they're part of the morning announcements often, like, correct, so the kids are hearing it in school.
Yeah, the kids are doing it.
Yeah, right, I know, the parents are just not the same. Yeah, I hear you.
They like it.
You went to school today?
They like their private tutor, right? But we would like for maybe them to have the group class, so, right?
Or both. I mean, they could extra to help. Yeah, but, yeah, so there's, okay, nothing. Thank you.
Anybody else? Now I would like to introduce Dr. Allison Salentine, who will give the budget adoption presentation.
Just need to move the steps a little side. If I stand on that, I won't be able to reach the microphone. Thank you so much to the Board of Education. And again, thank you so much to the administration, the entire administration, central building, department leaders for all the hard work that they put into creating this budget for our review. So this is just a summary of the budget presentations that we've had so far this year. One thing that we did add on here for the public and the Board of Education is that, yes, tonight is listed as the budget adoption, but this is a true work session for the budget, as we have not finalized it yet. So should there need to be another session, we can continue on April 21st. Which is the date that the board, I believe, is meeting for BOCE's budget vote, and we can, adopt that evening as well. Although I certainly hope that we can complete the process tonight, if possible. And then on May 5th, we have the budget hearing, and this always comes after the budget vote, which is, I find, a little odd, but this is the way that it works, so we have to follow the process. So you've seen this slide before. I just wanted to put it up to remind the board and the community that the administration really does work hard to build the budget directly around the board's established goals. They guide our decisions related to programs, staffing, and fiscal management, and that we do use these goals as the lens through which we decide the priorities in the budget to ensure consistency between governance direction and financial planning. So our primary goal is to maintain and enhance student programs that support learning. We also prioritize health and safety and student well-being across all buildings. And again, financial transparency and accountability remain central to the process. So I actually updated this slide. The Board of Education has copies of the slide deck, but this is different because I learned that the New York State has yet again adopted a 1-week extension. So New York State law dictates that the state has to adopt a budget by April 1st, but that hasn't happened for quite some time. And once again, here we are without an adopted budget. So yesterday they did vote to extend it 1 more week. And so what that means is that although our state aid numbers can change post-budget adoption, we tend to get the most solid numbers after the budget is adopted. They change very little after that. They can change, but they don't change appreciably. So we are still working with our initial estimate that you've seen before. That hasn't changed. Again, under New York State law, we have to build a balanced budget. So that means that all of our revenue has to equal our expenditures in the budget that we present to the public. And this always involves monitoring cost drivers, evaluating assumptions, and planning responsibly. And what we try to do is achieve a balance without compromising core instructional programs. We invest in the future of our citizens. We don't build anything, we don't create anything, we're not a commodity-driven institution, but we build global citizens, and I think that's the most noble of professions. So we wanted to make sure that the Board of Education and the public is aware of the challenges that we have with building a budget. So when we go to build a budget, we have to take into account all of our fixed costs. These are our contractually obligated costs of salaries and benefits. And it actually constitutes somewhere between 70 and 75% of the budget. Based on the last presentation, we showed you that transportation is also contractually based. We are moving into year 3 of 5 of our contract with Huntington Coach, and that's about 7 to 7.5% of the budget. But the remainder of the budget really requires estimation. So we do our best to analyze past expenses. We get as many prices as we can for supplies and forecasting what things will cost, but we really are estimating in a lot of areas like oil, gas, electricity, health insurance costs from January 1st through June 30th, overtime that might be required because we don't know what the winters are going to be like. We don't know what repairs are going to be needed. We of course develop maintenance schedules, but repairs pop up, things happen. We don't know how our athletic teams are going to perform, so we have to budget for the best. And we also don't know exactly what the cost of the field trips are going to be. So again, all of these are estimates that we make based on past expenditures and what we think cost escalation might be. So we are also required to present to the public a 3-part budget. So what this is it breaks down the budget into 3 components: the administrative, capital, and program. And as you can see by the figures, the majority of the budget does reside in the program component, which constitutes about 72% of the budget. Capital is about 17%, and administrative is 11%. So what falls into these categories? Administrative includes expenses for office and administrative costs, salaries and benefits for certified school administrators who spend 50% or more of their time as administrators, data processing, public information, legal fees, property insurance, and school board expenses. The capital budget is largely that. It is all the things associated with salaries and benefits of the custodial staff, service contracts, maintenance, supplies and equipment, and utilities, and it also covers our debt service, which is a result of any borrowing that we do for capital projects. And the program budget component, again, that largest component are the salaries and benefits of teachers and supervisors who spend the majority of their time teaching, supplies, equipment, textbooks, co-curricular activities, interscholastic athletics, staff development, and transportation operating costs. So you've seen this slide before. This is a history of our tax levy. And as you can see, we've never pierced the cap. Over the last 14 years, we've levied up to the maximum allowable tax levy half that time, 7 years, and we've levied below the maximum 7 years. Again, we've never pierced the cap in that 14-year period that's depicted here. So in the last board meeting, the Board of Education asked for 3 different budget scenarios, one at which the levy is 2.25%, which would represent a dollar change compared to this year's levy. So this year's levy compared to a levy of 2.25% would be 1.6 million, and the levy would be 73.5 million. When we go down to 1.95%, that's a difference of $215,768. Then again, comparing this year's levy to that levy, that's a $1.4 million change, and the levy would be a little over 73 million. And then if we go down to 1.58%, that's a difference of $266,000, 114. And compared to this year's levy, that would be $1.1 million more, and the levy would be 73 million. So it's also, I think, an interesting data point for the board to consider is that every 0.01% increase in the levy represents a dollar change of $7,192. So as I stated earlier, this is going to be a true budget work session with the Board of Education examining items that are currently in the budget that will need to be reduced in order to achieve any one of those three levies, because we are right now hovering around 3.9%, a little bit above, in the expenditure side of the budget. And the Board of Education has asked us to reduce that, and so that reduction will require some decisions. So these are, and the Board of Education asked for the administration to go through the budget, which we did. So we went through the budget and we actually made reductions. And then we chose items that are wants as opposed to needs. And we've made a list for the Board of Education's consideration. Certainly any item within the budget, the Board of Education can direct the administration to reduce that or eliminate it from the budget. These are simply our suggestions, but any item within the budget is, up for consideration for the Board of Education, except for fixed costs. There's nothing we can do about that. So these are all the items that could be reduced from the budget to achieve a 2.25% levy. So what this shows is what the budget would look like at that figure. So a tax levy, again, at 2.25% would be $73.5 million. State aid and our other revenue funding sources are listed here. The other funding sources are an estimate, but we estimate interest earned, payments in lieu of taxes, which are called pilots, tuition payments, use of facility, any fines that are levied for lost textbooks or books. Those are some of the things that really comprise the other funding sources category, and our planned use of fund balance and reserves. So that brings us to a total revenue of $83,635,540, and the expenditures would drop from where they currently are now to $83.6 million.
I just had a question.
Of
Sorry,
course.
just go back one. What's the 84,000 that's missing from, did you say that already, the other funding sources?
So the other funding sources, you mean why has it gone down from one budget to the next? It's based on our estimates. That's really the pilot payments. The pilot payments go down each year, we lose money. So that constitutes a large part of that loss.
Okay, but you don't know what.
It's all an estimate. These are estimates.
And last year, did we expect it to go down more significantly than it did?
I would have to take a look at that.
Okay.
I don't have that number readily in hand.
Thanks.
Of course.
I'm just looking at the discussion items. Kim, I thought we talked about having that, I'm just looking at one of the things on here that stood out to me. The speakers for Superintendent Conference Day, I thought.
So this is a reduction, so this is a reduction just in the component where, this is a reduction in the component where he would speak to the administrative team. We left in the dollar amount to speak to all the faculty. So remember, it was 13,500 for both. And if we removed 3,500, which was the administrative session that he would give, right, of session 2, then it left the $10,000 in. So that's where that reduction sits. It's 3,500.
Just before we start taking things out, I just want to ask another question that we ask every year, which is there's a lot of contingencies built into the budget every year, and it always seems like when we get to this meeting, that when we talk more about the contingencies, all of a sudden, we don't need to take as many things out of the budget to get a balanced budget. So can we do that can we talk about that for a minute before we?
We can talk about anything that you'd like in terms of reducing
agree with that?
the budget.
I think we usually, at the end, will say, wait, but what about the $4 million or $5 million we had left over last year? And then all of a sudden we can put more things back in, and then we have to do that in the next meeting, so.
And I
Skip to that
completely
step.
understand that. Just, again, I would really go back to that estimation slide. So I think that part of why we end up with money at the end of the year is because despite our best efforts to estimate and do so in a fiscally responsible way, those are guesstimates. You know, those are, they're educated
Of course, we want you to
guesstimates.
be fiscally responsible and
but-
have a conservative estimate.
And we don't ever want to come in under. You know, we don't ever want to be without the money that we need. And $4 to $5 million left over is about 4% of your budget. So it's not a lot,
No,
believe it or not, to have left over.
I agree, it seems like every year we get to this point, and then all of a sudden, it's like, oh, well, if we could really do this, or we could find money for the furniture through something else. And it's a little tricky because you're new in the position, but it does feel like this meeting is like Groundhog Day in that, am I the only one feeling this way?
Well,
That we
I
shouldn't
don't-
start slicing and dicing maybe quite yet.
I don't disagree with you. I know that, I haven't been here, so I
No, I know
only
you
know,
haven't,
I
that's what I'm
only know
saying,
what you
you're-
told me.
Yes.
But that makes me wonder if we could perhaps try another different approach next year as opposed to putting all of our wishes and hopes and dreams in, which is what we were directed to do. You know, perhaps we could consider having levy targets and then work within those, and that would help us have a
Yeah,
So
little bit more of a ceiling.
because we were not, and I know it was in, I think, a Friday notes chart, but we were not aware of how high the tax levy proposal was until, I wasn't aware of it until I read it in Newsday. I think that's how we discovered it in the
Right.
last meeting.
Mhm.
So, and you can see, I mean, thank you for this chart, it's really helpful. I'm looking at the CSH tax levy history. Even in years where we wanted, or we could have gone over 3, we really didn't. There's even one year where we could have gone over, oh, it looks like that's COVID, so that's a tricky situation. But there's, you know, a couple of years ago, we could have gone over 3 and we went just under, which is different than what we thought we'd done. We thought we hadn't gone over 2 in the last 4 years. So this is helpful to know too, that if we need more wiggle room, maybe we need to come just under the 3, but not over. 3.9 just seems like that's gonna knock people's socks off.
I understand, and you're right, and I think part of that in coming up was looking at, we just had come off of getting our 5-year plan from the architect and saying we have a lot of work ahead of us. So that big component was a direct, what's called transfer to capital, which is setting aside money to do some of that work.
Right, we talk about this a lot
And we-
though, but
right.
this is a tax that lives on in perpetuity for people, whereas a bond, which can be expensive, is a charge for a limited amount of time and doesn't raise your property taxes forever. So I think the community would want to have a say in that more than just be taxed and say, well, we did this because it would save us money on a bond, but now your property taxes are 2% higher forever than they would have been if we hadn't done a bond. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, the school component will go up temporarily. You can go back to a lower rate in the future. Like, we were told we always bake in a cushion, because if you spend that money this year and you do it next year, your safety reserve disappears quickly. So the 4 or 5% is just good governance, we were told, and that's why we bake it in, but
Well, and I don't mean to interrupt, but we don't, I did not, Joe Dragone and I did not intentionally bake in that money, but what we do is that we try to make sure that when we're estimating, we are making sure that we don't come in low.
yes.
And then, you know, because of that, what that does is that does end up giving you a surplus, like that's what happens.
But the fact is, we have, in the next 5 years, if we take out the wish list products, probably $55 million in construction liabilities, right? forget the redoing the cafeteria at the high school, things like that. If we take that out, we're looking at 52 to 55 million, right, in expenditures of
You're talking about the 5-year.
of the 5-year budget for facilities. We have to fund that one way or the other. We can either fund it through taxes or fund it through a bond. If you fund it through a bond, you're looking at potentially $1 million in fees. If you, and we were in the 3s before in the high 2s. Now, I realize people are gonna hate me, but the bill is coming due, one way or the other. We can either pay it, we have to decide how we're gonna pay it, but the bill's not going away. We can either do it, what do you recommend?
Well, I think the first place, I think the Board of Education is gonna make a decision about how much money they wanna put in the budget for capital projects based on a levy. There's 3 ways to fund capital projects, right? You can levy the voters and say that we're definitely, or we're intending to spend that money in the next school year, and that's how it changes your tax cap. That's how it changes your allowable maximum levy. Then we have money in the H fund that voters allocated to projects that we can go back to the voters in a special election or next year to ask them to reallocate that based on the new 5-year capital plan. So, and then we have our capital reserves. So I think that my advice would be that whatever we have left at the end of this year, any fund balance that we're not applying to the 4% savings should be applied to capital reserve 5. And that way we are putting the money in capital reserve 5, then the facilities committee can meet and make those decisions, make recommendations, to the Board of Education about how we want to use the H fund money, how we want to use the capital reserve money so that we can intentionally go to the voters and say we would like to use the money for these projects moving forward.
If we went up to the tax cap this year, we released all the reserves, we got, we're still in a deficit.
I understand, I'm just saying that's where I would recommend starting. I
Right,
would
and
recommend starting with the money that we
not by a small
have.
amount. We're still in
I understand, but
tens of millions of dollars, and furthermore, that budget probably will never pass. People are never gonna approve that budget.
Right, well, a 5-year plan is a 5-year plan, and Michael Mark did make it clear that some of his numbers are estimates because at the time he couldn't even get on the roofs.
Could be higher, though. I don't think there's gonna be lower. And then next year, we'll probably have to go up to the tax cap, and next year we'd have to go. I mean, we have a big bill coming, and these are not discretionary items. These are items that need to be addressed. If the fields aren't kept up to code, we can't have games on them. If the roof's not repaired, I mean, I won't go into the whole list, but, so we have to decide.
So then maybe we need to make decisions.
Exactly.
That's
It's not even cutting like the buggy or not that we might get. It's much more. Are we gonna go to tax cap? If not, are we gonna do a bond? Like we have to start to pre-fund these. It's what was the number? 50. The projected number.
It was an estimate around 50.
53 million.
I don't have it all.
I thought it was a little higher.
It was 58? I don't have it in front of me.
I don't have it in front
I'm
of me.
I don't have
sorry.
it in front of me either. I don't have a computer with me, but just to be clear though, the tax levy increase, Mark, it carries over year over year. It doesn't go up and down. So-
No, I know, but
Okay, but that, just because that's how you said it before.
well, no,
it's not-
if we go to a zero, like, say we raise 3, but then a couple of years later, you raise 1. You raise,
Yeah, but we already raised
it
it.
starts,
It's not
yeah,
gonna
but
be
it's
But
not
this is 4 really,
it's
what
not
she's
gonna-
budgeted, 3.9 is 4, right? I mean,
4, but it starts to eventually average out. I mean, over the years, well, look, we're paying it either way, either through a bond or through tax revenue. If you do a bond, though, you're paying the fee.
but it's not forever. And there's people, lots of people who live in the district whose kids are no longer in the schools or haven't gone to the schools who will come and vote on this budget and who, that's what they're looking at. And that is last, what?
I was just gonna point out, like, these bonds are long-term, so we're saying it's not forever, but what's the debt service right now out of the 14 million?
That's a good question.
I mean, you showed a 14 million number for administration, I think the debt service is in there.
That's a good question.
My point is that it may not be forever, but it's gonna probably be
Yes.
for the next 20 years.
Yeah, it's a
so,
good question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Debt service for next year, the principal is 1.79 million, and the interest is 704,000. So debt service next year is a little under 2.5 million.
Plus the fees to,
That's on the existing.
what,
That's on the existing 2019 bond, correct?
and what are the
Correct.
fees to issue a bond approximately?
I couldn't give you that number right
It's a
now.
large number.
It's
It's
gonna
just,
be,
I'm looking at cost of capital.
In New York State, you can pay things off in advance, you can pay a bond off in advance,
Mhm.
right, without a
Yes.
penalty, I know that was a New York State law.
yeah, you can.
You pay it off in advance with tax dollars?
Have to look into
You'd have to raise the tax rate, wouldn't you, to pay it off?
We could use you can take it from somewhere else.
I honestly would have to research that.
Or any dollars, but, I mean, let's
I just
say,
think there's a bunch of tough choices in it, right?
Yeah,
Whether it's
yeah.
on the tax side,
That's why we're
whether
having
it's
this
on
conversation.
cuts.
Yeah.
I don't think a budget, to your point, in the threes would pass. I think,
That's, I mean,
that's optically, but I think the cost of capital is cheaper to do it through taxation versus a bond, and then pay the.
I 100% hear
So-
what you're saying, I just don't think it's gonna be palpable to the community.
What we could do is, because just again, thinking about
I could
timing,
be wrong.
Michael Mark's report came out right before the fire. So we had one committee meeting at the end of February. I think there's a lot of work and thought that needs to go into how we fund and pay for that 5-year capital plan. And I think it's the work of many people, not just me. I can make a recommendation, but I really think that it has to be something that we do very deliberately and through discussions and with, professional advice from both bond counsel as well as our architect. And, to really dive into those costs and see what is in that building condition survey and what is in that 5-year capital plan that is a must, and what are things that could be deferred. Because Michael Mark even said not everything on that plan has to be accomplished within the 5 years. So I think this is an excellent discussion, and I think that we, as a board and as a committee moving forward, have a lot of work to do, and I think we can accomplish that. And I think we can find that the way that we can do it with existing funds, and then to make the decision to either forward fund it through future budgets and or to go out for a bond, but I'm not sure we're gonna make that decision tonight.
And at that meeting, it was actually postponed. It was originally on the Tuesday, we were snowed out. We received the 18 inches of snow, and we realized we couldn't even talk to all the site work that's necessary because everything was covered in snow. And if you look around the district, we see there's a lot of cement work and curb work and asphalt work that needs to be done because of the challenging winter we had. But we couldn't even discuss it then.
But so I agree with you that this should be a priority and it should be very frequently met. Like, I don't think we can meet and then wait 2 months.
No, I think we have to meet monthly. Yeah.
Because if you just use the traffic light as a recent example, we were given a $725,000 estimate, and then it came in at $350 because we piggybacked. So can we do a field piggybacking off of Huntington instead of our own? But without those answers, we're not going to know what the future number is. So.
I don't know about you guys, when I looked at this, I felt like the 3 scenarios, I appreciate you doing this, and this is exactly what we needed, but like, oh, why couldn't we take this from like, I feel like we could make our own.
So I think they
Absolutely, you
actually,
definitely can,
you
absolutely.
can, but I also think these three scenarios, Allison, if I'm correct, the first one just gets you down, the red one gets you down to the 225, right? And then the rest include, so it's not, the next one is red plus yellow.
It's cumulative.
I mean, the teacher
And then,
one's gonna be
yes.
the biggest, I know it's
And
1.58,
then-
but this is an ongoing, this is also an ongoing cost to hire all these teachers. So these are one-time, right, one-time costs, and some of them are going to come off when the teacher salary goes up there.
And some of them are, and we go round and round and round on this, the costs that we approved temporarily several years ago that we were told would be sunsetted from the budget that are now, we're being told, no, we need that permanently. So that's unfortunately. It's like, once they're in the budget, maybe we need it,
Just because Alex asked this question at the very beginning, so let's just pick a number. If we had like $4 million access this year, is that really $4 million, or I think I'm still understanding this.
Do you mean for next year's budget?
No,
For
out of this year's leftover.
leftovers,
So
okay.
then, out of that, I think we already said 1.2 million is going to be brought right into next year's budget to take taxes.
But Allison, doesn't that $4 million usually not include the extra 1.2 million? That's why
Right.
it's really 5.2 million.
Well, I was doing,
That last year.
yeah.
Yeah, but it doesn't come out of that, yes.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank you.
so,
Yeah.
right, so we always want to back out the 4% and that make sure that that savings account is there. And then we are applying the $1.2 million. So that, you're right, Alex.
It's an
So
addition, it was like
that's an
5.2.
Yes,
Yep.
Yep.
But we don't spend the 4% every year, we're just at the top.
right, we're just keeping it because that's fiscally responsible. You never want to be without that 4%.
If we have like $1.7 million increase in budget, we only need about 70,000.
So I have,
Well, I don't think we can't go to a bond at this late
No.
juncture.
No,
A bond
that
would be for
requires-
next year, that's not, it's too late.
correct, Alex, that requires a voter approved resolution, the voters have to vote on any capital expenditure, whether it's reallocation of the H fund money or it's a bond.
We should probably wait and see what there's more estimates. Like better estimates, yeah, like the traffic, like we have for, yeah.
And some of those things require, like we talked about, we do in the high school cafeteria, that requires our architect to do a plan. He gave a rough estimate, not knowing truly what we wanted, that is, aesthetics, where parking lot or site work is probably easier, definitely is easier to get an estimation of how much is replaced, 500 square feet of site.
So, Allison,
yeah.
this transfer to capital here in the red discussion item, that was originally, this is in your original 3.9% tax levy plan was 1.34.
No, so that is exactly, that's a great point. So I'm going to skip ahead, Alex, to this slide. So this was the tax cap calculation slide that you saw in my first budget presentation with the draft budget. This is with a $400,000 transfer to capital allocation in the expenditure side of the budget. So when you change that amount, it changes your maximum allowable tax levy, which I know you understand. So when we got those estimates from Michael Mark, that's when the administration team said, okay, let's change that to 1.34 million to raise the amount of money that we're setting aside for capital work for next year through the voter approved budget. And what that did was that raised the tax levy. So when you take a look at you said the spreadsheets up here?
No, you would have to contribute to the cells on
Oh, yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, sorry. So, I'm just gonna show you what happens. It does, so there's exclusions in this.
But in theory, we could have an 80% actually cap if we have, we would have $40 million in treasury account.
Well, I don't think you should do that, because I like when I first got it, I thought it was like, the whole, everyone has seen that. Yeah.
So it significantly changes the budget. This is the budget worksheet that I explained to the board earlier tonight that was created so that you could do the work to lower the levy amount, to reduce the expenditure side of the budget. All of the yellow fields will change as we take things out of the budget. So as an example, moving the coral reef project to the following year, we can take out $100,000 and potentially we might be able to buy one of the maintenance vehicles this spring.
So my question was, before we start subtracting, I just wanted to ask you about that one specific item, and then I wanted to make another.
I'm
Sorry.
sorry.
Item by item, if you don't mind.
No.
In the interest of time, like just a bit more big picture, my question was, on the red page, you have original value 1.34 transfer to capital. Was that from your original calculation for the 3.9 tax cap? And you need to take that out and bring it down to 400,000?
Yes.
Okay, so this is in continuation of our question before about the $4 million left over and the 1.2 million. So this would be an additional sum in addition to the money that we already have baked into our budget for this year to roll into next year. Is that right?
I'm not really sure. I'm so sorry.
You said that every year we have like $4 million left over, and then we also usually have $1.2 million that we transfer to capital, right?
No. That $1.2 million is on the revenue side of the budget. The $1.34 million is on the expenditure side of the budget.
So what we were saying, we're left over with it at the end of the year, and then we roll it into the next year, right? So is this money in addition to that money? We're not lowering that baked-in contingent money by taking this money out, is that correct? That we typically have?
I think this is, we're lowering the amount of money for a transfer to capital.
Right, so we're lowering the expenditure side of the budget. We're still planning on applying $1.2 million from this year's fund balance to next year's revenue side of the budget.
But this is for next year's budget.
Yes.
The transfer to capital here isn't your baked-in extra contingent money. This is additional money in addition to the contingent money.
It would be the money that we are saying to the voters that we are going to use on capital projects for the coming year in the amount of $1.34 million to do specific work that we would tell the voters about in the budget brochure.
Okay. So, but there's not, isn't there usually additional baked in money into our budget?
I can tell you that Joe Dragone started the budget process. I completed it.
I know.
We didn't,
No, I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you. Every year, since I've been in the school district, not you. I'm just asking if this is that 5.2 that we have left over at the end of the year every year, that we're just using that. But is this 5.2 plus 1.3? Do you understand? And I know that this is for CapEx.
Yes, I understand what you're saying, and the answer is no.
Okay. It's not, it's a different.
That money is would be specifically allocated for capital projects that the voters.
A reduction of that extra money.
No, however, we would have to reduce, in order to reach your levy targets, we must reduce transfer to capital for next year.
Okay.
I don't see any other, correct.
See, right, that I understand, I guess I'm asking, it's not, I don't want people to think it's the same number. It's not the same number, that other number still exists somewhere in a cushion in our budget, right?
That number is we
Because I think
plans
people
for
might think they're the
revenue.
same number.
No, I understand what you're saying, and just to try to explain it, is that we project revenue and we project expenditures. And obviously we have fixed costs, but there's a lot of projections that go in there, and we project a balanced budget. And then if our expenditures don't come out to what we had anticipated that they come out to, then we have that leftover funds, which we call fund balance. And each year, we've been applying $1.2 million of that fund balance to the following year's budget to increase the revenue side of the budget.
Got it, okay, thank you. Okay. So my next question is, and everyone might say, no, don't do this, but when we do the worksheet, which is really cool, I love that.
Thank you so much. I'm really
Thank
proud
you,
of it.
so fun. It's really, I mean, I just announced to Bruce that I'm like, this board.
Oh, I
Let's get
love
to that
that.
worksheet,
I
that's
love
so
that.
fun. But, sorry, because you're like in math class now, but, the question is, do we want to see what it would look like at 2.9?
So you can, with my worksheets. You absolutely can. You can see
I know
any.
we can do it with your worksheets.
You can
I
see
feel like
any
I understand how an
levy you
Excel
want.
formula
You can-
works, but yeah.
And what I also can do on the back end is I can tell you that as the board decides about what they want to do with transfer to capital, I can on the back end use a spreadsheet that I'm not going to project just because it's uninteresting. And I can tell you what the maximum allowable levy would be based on any change to transfer to capital.
Do we want to look at 2.9 or 2.99 because we're not going to agree incorporating most of the things? Because there are a lot of good things in here and we do need extra money. There's a lot, I don't know.
We can, like I said, that spreadsheet will show you any iteration of the budget that you'd like to look at. And, I would just, any change to transfer to capital, I would just need a minute on the back end to make sure that we knew what our change to our maximum allowable levy is, so that we don't pierce the cap. We don't want to pierce the cap.
I just want to make sure I understand that transfer. My understanding is that every ways to pay for the capital administrative line
There's four ways, but yes, you're right. Like,
at least I have.
you absolutely do. It's just that right now, we also have existing capital money in what we call the H fund, which is just a designated fund for capital funds. And the voters approved projects in that fund that we can still use that money for as long as it's within what the voters approved. Like, for instance, there is some money sitting in masonry. So to Mark's point, we can jump ahead right now this summer, do some masonry and chimney repair with our existing H fund money because the voters have already approved that. We would just need another voter approved referendum if we wanted to change what that money was originally allocated for and reallocate it to something.
But we're being upfront.
We talked about that? No.
But this is being very upfront. We're using whatever dollar amount to do capital. We're saying it straight out of the gate, and here's what we think we need to do.
So should we start at the higher end, 2.99, and then every time we take out about $7,000, we're going out?
No, I'm saying, do we want to do it to look for a balanced budget at 2.99? So we'd include most of the thing, or.
That's the question.
Oh, I see.
How much would you include?
That's,
That's what this worksheet is
Wait, I think,
set up
Alex,
for.
are you saying add back in pink items to
add
get
back in
pink?
Right.
everything.
Oh, to go up, you're trying to add,
Start it,
go
add
up.
back in, and then take away to get to 2.99, or whatever, however.
Well,
whatever you want to do.
everything that you see there, Alex, is currently in the budget.
Okay.
So nothing has been nothing that you're looking at has been officially taken out. The administrative team, like I said, did some work and really looked for any place where we could reduce and save money prior to this work session, prior to creating these lists, so that we were bringing you the best possible starting point.
We're like flex furniture, higher expenses, and that could certainly wait.
It could be delayed.
Right, so that's $40,000. Like if we take that out, right, what's that price? Then we can start. What if we go through and take things like that out first? And one start, check us on.
We buy a lot of flexible furniture. I actually would like to know why we're buying so much flexible furniture all the time. I mean, that's my question. Like, what's happening with the? I mean, I like flexible furniture.
I don't per se, it's breaking, it's just, it's the furniture, I think they're just using the term, it's the furniture we're buying. And that's what it is, so whether it's, and I think I know in speaking to the residents, some of this is.
Hold on, one conversation.
It's stuff in individual classrooms, like room 5 needs 6 seats, I'm just pulling them out, and room 7 needs 4 seats, but this ones have a different type of desk.
So it's just furniture.
It's furniture, it's really, everything is flex furniture. I mean, I have to
So
say.
we don't have any old school desks lying around?
Not in, we do have, yeah, at the elementary, I mean, like, if you look, I would have to say, if you look at Goose Hill, I mean, furniture is just like, everything is so flexible, everything's on the floor and maneuvering and that type of stuff, it is just by definition flex. Do we have desks? We do have some, and it works in some rooms, but it's less of it, not as much as at the secondary.
Bill, what were you gonna say?
So, I like your idea of this, but I'm afraid of the story. Once it works, not good, right? Right, so I'd rather start at a lower budget, and then when I look at the trade-offs and say, when we get to 2.25 or 1.5 budget, we have to bigger kindergarten sections, or we have to not do X and Y next year, but then we say,
I guess
okay,
I'm
let's
just
up-
looking at I'm just looking at what has been digestible by our community through the years, and we've been in the high twos a lot. So,
To me,
I
it's
think
just-
it's sort of an
just
in-between point in our discussion here of needing a lot of revenue to get everything done, to pay our bills, and not going too high. Right, well, we don't have to go to 3.9.
But to me,
Right, this is taking it down.
I feel like we could please a lot of this year.
We could definitely start lower. I was just thinking we save ourselves, the headache of going through every single item. Probably not at the end, but
So if we got every single item, isn't it well over 3? It's 3.9. Like
3.9, which is like
3.9.
3.7.
like, and we
3.7.
have.
I think it's 3.9.
The old cap was 379 before.
So the old cap was 2.61.
No, this is budgeted for.
Oh, yeah,
With
that was
transfer
the
to capital.
3.92 with the 1.34 million in transfer to capital.
3.92.
That was the cap, and the budget is, hovering around there right now, which was,
And if you remember late in the game, our kindergarten numbers came in, where we had a UVK the previous year in the mid-80s, and all of a sudden we have, 127 kids. Like, where did all these kids come from? So we had to add in, when you add one teacher and all that, he's been talking $130,000, $140,000. And that, well, somewhere, yes.
We haven't
But
been
that
in-
number, caught us.
We haven't been in the twos.
Right, that's right. That's an easy way to do it. There's a-
Well, we haven't been in the twos since 2020, right? 2019, 2020. And then they were.
2023, 24, I think.
We're 164, huh? That was the allowable and then the actual.
The adopted tax levy that year was 2.95.
In 2023 to 2024.
Oh, 295, yep.
Yeah.
My eyes went right over that.
In my tenure on this board, we were at
That was all you,
2.75.
Alex, putting the taxpayers, No. All right, so,
All right, so what do we do with this 9:40?
Do you want me to move everything that's in the purple over here, and you can see how that changes the levy, and then work from there? Or do you want to pick different items to move over?
so,
Maybe we should go through this.
They don't have to come off the purple list either. They could really come off of any of the lists. So if
But
they're,
they were organized in, just as I looked at, they were organized in
by what the administration recommended, but
Right.
we can have pretty well and can also say, I would prefer this. Yeah.
so for example, this says original value 28,900 and the reduced value is 31,100.
So how did we get to?
Where are you, Mark?
So athletics part-time to full-time second clerical position, original value 28,900 rounding to reduced amount 31,000. You reduced it more than the original amount.
Oh, that's a mistake, I'm sorry.
Okay.
It should be 31,000. That's because originally I only had the salary in there and I added the benefits, so
makes
that's an
sense.
error, I'm sorry
All
about
right,
that.
all good.
It would be $31,183.
So look, we can cut, like, so we're taking out HVAC installs. I thought that was fully, taking out 40,000. That was the AC we're gonna put in every classroom?
No, that's different money.
We have that money, we
So
have
what's
that
this
money in.
$40,000?
What's the
for
HVAC
AC install?
That was a part of the budget created by Eric's predecessor, and when I went over the budget with Eric, he said that could come out.
Oh, so we don't need it anymore.
So he,
Yeah,
he
Let's-
said,
That's gone.
okay,
Let's make that the first thing.
you got it.
That's done. That stays out.
That was easy,
This is
thank
so
you.
easy.
Thank you, Anthony.
Yes.
We don't know what that was, but, okay, so,
When you look at the literacy strategies, this is almost done, right? Correct. This is the last year of this, so how did you go down to 20? Yeah. I had to. It's paid for in like a grant.
The first year.
First year, it was a grant. Can't find a grant. Come on, Sam. What is the
Kim has
difference
gotten quite a few grants. I mean, everyone has really been working on grants, so.
on the purple sheet? What's the difference between flex furniture and classroom updates on that one, for 39,000, and then on the yellow one? There's flex.
Wait, so it's 54,000 is the actual value, and they're saying we'd spend 39 and only take out 15,000.
So in the first section, I'm taking 15,000 out of Mr. Dan Buskey's budget, and then in the second section, it would be an additional $10,000 out of his budget for that line. It's the same line, it's just more money.
So, on the purple farm, is there any other ones that, like are no-brainers, like the HVAC installs?
Can you explain the 66 buses?
Yes, so I took another hard look at the allocation for athletic trips, and I really, I believe that we can take that money out of the budget and still service all of our teams, should they, do well. So I can move that over if you'd like.
that was only 47, right? So, that's 47 you're gonna move?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm moving it right now.
And then the
So we're down
last,
to 3.78%.
the last one is the half contribution offsets, 88,000.
So you want me to move
I
that over?
thought we weren't doing the field trips unless we had the money at the end of the year. So why is, oh, it's not in, is that zero there? I'm looking at zero.
Well, now they're proposing it goes to
Doing it
zero.
that way again. Yeah.
I'm waiting to see.
They're
So that's
proposing.
not in there. That's not in there.
It was in there.
No, it's in the
Can't take
budget.
it out.
It's in the budget. Do you want me to take it out?
Yeah. The 50% reduction of contribution. It begs the question, how did we afford it?
Reevaluate in January.
Yeah, but how did we even afford it this year if we're cutting next year's budget?
Because we estimate our expenditures, and as the year progresses, we're able to better understand where our endpoint is going to be, and that's how we knew that we were able to fund it. So at that point in the year, we were able to forecast that we would have enough money left over.
No, sorry, we don't have the money. We have to issue a bond. We don't have enough money. This was supposed to be if we had over. And say we had, let me put it this way. Let me put it this way. Say I have money in the bank today, and then next year I have to put a new roof on my house, pay for my kids' college, and buy a new car. But I have money in the bank today. Does that mean I have money for next year? No. Should have never been approved.
Let's stay on track.
And we were gonna go to 100%, and they said, no, we have money for 50. That was the quote. It's farcical. That was farcical
No,
analysis.
I think the question is how much money we had this year.
It was,
And we didn't.
sorry, this is a budget over several, if you guys want to budget that way, like this,
I don't think that's
ridiculous.
That money was originally never budgeted.
Correct.
We did it once and said we have to big excess, and then it got budgeted. I don't know how that.
This is
No, I
possible
think
for next year.
That's for next year.
This should only be if we
This
want.
year was
No,
No,
we
This year
discussed it in a
we had a
January
conversation, we
meeting.
were told we have the money.
But I agree with Mark, I just think it was way too early. We did that.
We don't have the money is the bottom line.
I think we decided to do that in December, January before we collected the money. Some of these we had to
It
do
was what we
because
said 2 years ago. We said we'll revisit it in January was our promise to the community, and a
Right.
letter was sent out saying we would do it at a January meeting. So maybe we want to say it's not something we do in January next year. Maybe we say we look at it in April or in April's about time, in May, whenever we did it 2 years ago when we got to the end of this school year.
Right, I advocate that we look at it in retrospect, that we reimburse if we had the money.
Okay.
well,
But it was never in our budget, so
But never
let's
in the
take it out.
budget.
We just took it
Yeah,
out.
that's fine.
but I think, and I just want to be clear what you said there, Mark, that if we say we have, we'll just use 50 million in items to do over the next couple of years, we won't have that for the next, unless we do a bond or something, for the next 5, 10 years, it's not going to be there. That's a given.
We're trying to save everything.
Correct. But that's the way we'll look at it. That's what we're saying.
If we're looking to cut educational endeavors and things, but we're reimbursing for 50% of school trips, I think that's ridiculous. Next year, we should have saved that money this year. Too late.
You can't send this meeting.
I'm not frustrated, not mad.
The Rocket Solutions is the records of athletics. So from the beginning of Coachman Harbor, it shows all of the athletics. It's a solution, you touch it, if it's swimming and it shows, Mary Smith, right, swam at 10.4, and it goes back, you can go back to track, and that's what it is. It's the main thing.
Well,
Here.
He's sitting
I
down.
can see him.
we should bring up this subject, the needs and wants.
That's right.
We don't need this maintenance vehicle, the 87,000, that's a big one.
That's it, yeah. We think we could hold off another year.
So the,
But it's one of, oh, it's already,
It's off.
so the first 3 items are already off, right? What about,
So anything you see, I know you're looking at it from behind, but I'm adding items as you were stating them, I'm adding them, and if you look on the, thank you, Lisa, I appreciate that positivity. On the right-hand side, that levy is changing.
We do flex furniture. Sorry.
Do you want it from the purple and the yellow section?
I want it all. Okay.
I think how much furniture do we need replacing as opposed, what is, and Chris, I'm gonna put you on the spot here. How much would you say we need? We have stuff that's not going to make next year, I think is the question, just furniture period.
Yeah.
If you could give a guesstimation, I know I'm putting you on the spot here. I apologize.
Was that, Allison, did you have my numbers up there, or were those Dan's numbers?
Your numbers are up there too.
Can you tell me
Your
those?
numbers are yours is the 32,000.
Okay, that's what you have or took away?
That's what I took away.
Okay, yeah, so if I was looking to do a whole new classroom of flex furniture for like a classroom that has the old desks, we can postpone that. The priorities are the soft surface and things that really need to be replaced, that their life has ended and we need to move on to.
They're worn out.
They're worn out and they're still usable, but they are worn and really need to be replaced.
If you want to give a dollar amount that you would need next year, so we
So-
can come with it. And then Mr. Dan Buskey, you're next.
I would say 30,000 to really make sure I'm able to do the needs, to meet those needs of the building, and that's touching a lot of different classrooms.
Okay, so it's 39.
So we remove another 9.
You can take 9. I can figure out the number.
So your budgeted amount, I think, was 62,000 total. So what are you saying we need total?
30.
We need 30, so we can take 32,000 total, which is what's up there. Okay, so that's up there.
Thanks, yes.
That's up there.
And then Mr. Dumas.
So, for the junior senior high school, we try to at least budget for 2 classroom replacements, and it's not necessarily all flex furniture. Some teachers do upgrade and get away from the traditional desk and chair combination, but just for conceptualization, those individual classic student desks that are desk and chair combined run about $279 each. So to do one classroom is $7,000, just for one classroom of traditional desks.
When I think about that, I know most schools still have those types of desks, right? It's like that much. So we don't have many desks, right?
Well, when I do just replacement, things that are broken and cannot be repaired anymore, the custodians try to do a good job repairing when the brackets come loose under the desk, but after so many times repairing it, it becomes unusable and it's not safe.
So your budget is not, it's just broken desks? Or
No, it is also for some of the things that, like for example, additional furniture that has been asked for the media arts lab that Mrs. Oswald is looking for. There's been talk about her classroom and updating the furniture in her classroom, and that's a bigger chunk because the furniture in her classroom is not traditional style desks, it's an art classroom.
So what number?
So what was I at after the additional cut?
Your original budgeted amount was $54,000, and we're looking to reduce you by 25, so that puts you at 29.
I would say at most maybe another 9. Because
That the
just-
board can take another nine?
just to do 2 traditional classrooms,
The
you're
20,000
you're coming close to 20,000.
Okay.
So most of these are the latest and greatest ideas for what we need as improvements, right? And then the reductions add up to, if we took them all, like $1.4 million. But the overall budget is 83.6, and we're sitting here asking you to justify or try to see, can you use a little less? but we don't look ever at, we did, $83.6 million. We're not doing this line by line. I have to assume there's stuff in there that is not,
I know, well, we did ask them to look at it and tell us what their recommendations.
can I finish? Okay. I'm always concerned that, what, yeah, I just wanted to finish the thought.
No, I know you give the same speech every meeting, I agree with you though.
Okay, can I just want to, maybe we have a new business officer, maybe she has a different answer. So, we sit here and we nitpick and nickel and dime the new stuff, but we accept that every penny the district has spent, 83 points, is being spent properly, or there's nothing we can kill from that. So is there, I know that there's discretionary and then there's, there's contractual obligations or whatnot. Of the 83.6, or the vast majority of that, how much of that is like this? Is
About 80% is set.
so 20% of that? That's a big number.
It is, but then of that 20%, and I'm just going to pick athletics, it's not, there's some set there too. It's not like we could go to zero to run gym class anymore. So we're looking at like, how much do we want to, like, you still need to spend $2,000 on tennis balls and $5,000 on this and
But Mark,
$10,000 on
you
that.
bring up a good point, you bring it up a lot, but it's not a bad point, but I guess then we're giving a directive after we have this discussion saying, well, you guys pick what you think should come out. What we really should do is say, show us that 20%, and we should all read it,
Yeah,
and then ask questions, and maybe, I mean, it's 5 of 10, we've got people who I think are waiting for audience to visitors. Maybe we have another meeting scheduled for the
Next
21st.
but remember we were at like 1 a.m. last year doing the same exercise?
I wasn't at the meeting.
Oh, you weren't, you missed that one? So we were
Last
doing this
year. I was at
exact
the one
same
after that
exercise,
one.
okay.
Yes,
And
yeah.
it's really, again,
I
I
watched
think
it, though.
it's budgeting
Well,
like this.
you have all that. Remember, we probably starting in December, January, you have the 140.
We have the whole,
You have every
like the
every
GL.
item.
We don't have the people to ask questions about.
You
what-
could come in and ask. I mean, Lisa was here
Diligent,
this
you
week,
can
or
read
last
it.
week, Walter. You could always come in and ask.
And ask who?
Yes, yeah. You have the
Allison
binder,
first,
yeah.
myself, or anyone who is there.
But we're asking the people that want the things like what, so what, it's better to have a dynamic conversation.
And these, like we said, we asked, if you remember last year, dream the dream, put everything
Yeah,
you wanted, and
exactly.
here it is. So some of that is, okay, I know there are choices we have to make.
Yeah,
Some
but
is
Mark's
dream-
point is there are things that we carry over, sort of rubber stamp year over year accidentally, basically, because the budget just keeps getting
Like,
shifted.
we have
We're
no-
just looking at the new items. We're not
There's
combing through the
consultants.
cobwebs.
We learned about,
Right.
we're paying, what, 6 figures to some consultants maybe? Was that last year we had in there, which we learned about?
Last year, we did find a lot of things we thought that wasn't new. Remember? We went back.
Okay.
I mean, we should, right, we should always.
It's a good exercise, because I feel like we're cutting the new ideas and the new asks, and there might be some old stuff that's time to go. No, it's, but we might be able to keep, we might be able to keep a lot of this and then,
Maybe in the intervening weeks, we could meet again, we could take a look at that, we could keep this exercise going, you can always add these things back in, if you find anything like that. And we need to have these conversations over time, not all at once.
100%.
You know.
But if we get that list of the discretionary, the bus contracts decided, our costs are decided for salaries, benefits.
But I looked at the last contract, we had a little bit of that stuff.
Right.
It's not bad. Yeah. And we raised it for yesterday,
Okay.
Can I ask a question just in the interest of time? I'm always thinking about my pajamas. But so, do we think we have enough time to complete this tonight, or we have that other meeting set? There's a,
I think we just took a bunch of items.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right.
I just want to state that I'm not sure we're going to reach your target without cutting some of the transfer to capital.
Right, that's the big
That's
number.
Well,
gonna
and
be
I
your
think
big
that's why
change
the
in your
question
level.
is, Mark's question is a good question. He asks it every year. And every year we hear it and then we move on. And we hear it and we move on. So I guess the question is, and I know we're like up against the wire with timing on this, but can we look at the 20% of stuff that's carried over year over year? We don't know what that 20% is though, that's, right? Is that the question? So we don't know how to highlight what that 20% is to read it ourselves.
Yeah, I mean, it will probably actually be easier to do football code what the fixed one, because it's like
if you
teacher
could just
salaries is a
pull
huge
that,
component
then
of
we can read
healthcare.
it
And
and
you
come
can
back
look
for the
into
work
each-
session and maybe take some of those things out also. Does that seem reasonable?
Maybe if we can do it with staff here, and then we can ask, do you
Yes,
know, do you
questions.
need this, do you not need this?
Okay,
And
does
then
that seem
we'll have,
reasonable?
I think, a better budget.
Heather, what do you think?
That's fine. Do you want it? We'll stop you.
Yes.
I
Yes.
think,
The carryover.
but also,
We have to
I think
decide
in
like
the
this.
interest of time, I think you should bring your questions in term
Read.
to
Yes.
the administrators. So we
Flip
can,
your
you
classroom.
don't want to just hear
Yes.
it for the first time
Okay.
at that meeting.
Right, absolutely.
Not-
Knowing ahead some
We
details.
know
Be
ahead.
read,
Let's
be
be-
well read for
Yes.
the
And
meeting.
ask your questions so you know the meeting will go faster.
Yes, for the 21st. Right. And then Heather, can I also make a proposal that maybe we take a motion to move out of the
Mini
report?
reports, there's only.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Yeah, Allison, thank you. This is, I mean,
That was
I would stay here all night with you and do that spreadsheet, but I think the people would like us to move along.
You can, it's fine.
Okay, and we did that, we would stay, like, we moved this, we moved this.
So fun, yes.
So, do you just want, do you want to do your committee, it's like a 10-second thing.
Yeah, let's do it.
Do it quick, yeah.
Committee?
Go.
Yeah, do it quick.
Okay, the tech committee met, we met last week, we talked about moves back to the west side, what it meant for the IT department, including new community awards. We had 6. We also, the IT department has had the foresight to hold on to some stuff, so they were able to give some of the extra stuff that we had saved to west side, so that's great. Thin clients, monitor stalls, and more. 26, 27 purchases were highlighted, including Chromebooks for grades 4, 7, 10, iMacs for music technology, iPads for grades 1, document cameras for Wood Harbor and Westside, replacement of briefing boards and wireless controllers. We learned the district had submitted the New York State technology plan ahead of schedule and is waiting on feedback. With the help of the committee, the focus for the next 3 years will be, number 1, leveraging digital tools to design and enhance a vertically aligned K-12 curriculum. Number 2, strengthening IT infrastructure and cybersecurity to ensure secure, reliable, and equitable access to digital learning environments. Number 3, to provide ongoing professional development and support teachers in effectively integrating instructional technology. Our last meeting for the year will be on April 23rd, that's next week, and if I could just leave you with some parting words, Dr. Fulton had told us that the reason that they're able to replace everything at Westside, so adapt the exact item, is because they took lots and lots of pictures, like periodically. So if that ever happens in your house, you may want to start taking pictures like around your house so you know if anything gets damaged. Like they knew item numbers, they had serial numbers, they had everything. So great job to our administrators for having the foresight to do that, and we should all learn from that. And I'm going to go home and take some.
I alone was over 10,000 pictures plus the last 35 days, plus video, to really, so when they clean all, if you know the 5th grade hallway in West Side, all of the historic stuff in those cabinets, they were able to clean it and put it back exactly the way it was before.
We took photos from before that.
Before and the dead,
Stuff was
yeah, it was
good.
pretty amazing.
that was the only committee that met, so we can move on to our first audience visitors. The Cold Spring Harbor Board of Education and Administration welcome your attendance at Board of Education meetings. Audience, the public, and the board's residents have an opportunity to address the Board of Education on both agenda and non-agenda items. Each resident is allowed to speak for 3 minutes. This is not the forum to discuss student or staff-specific issues. Please contact the district separately on these matters. If you'd like to speak, please step to the podium.
Hi, my name is Layla Abadan, and I'm a 10th grader here. I've been involved in the theater program in this district since 6th grade. This year has been really hard for the theater program, especially for the students involved. A lot of things have been really challenging, especially with the musicals not having enough support. I love the arts, and I know everyone involved does too. We've all done shows before, so we know what they're supposed to feel like and how they're supposed to run. Unfortunately, as you know, the senior high show wasn't directed and run properly this year. One really positive thing that came from this experience was a sense of community. Families stepped in to help and people came together, which was honestly amazing to see. New friendships were made and that part really mattered, but even with that, we still need a lot more support. I've heard that in the past, the theater program here was robust and thriving with tons of students involved. When I talk to other students about the shows now, I keep hearing things like the shows aren't good or it's embarrassing, which is really hard to hear. When I talk to students from other schools, it sounds completely different. People actually line up to be in their shows because of the quality and students line up to see them. That is something we should have too. The auditorium should be packed with not just families of the cast, but the community as a whole. But that can't happen if there isn't enough support for our theater program. Despite their struggles, I'm really grateful for the teachers and staff who run the arts programs and everything they've done. They put in so much time and effort and it doesn't go unnoticed. But the reality is they can't do it all alone. We need more help. We need people in specific roles like someone to run the path, someone experienced with lighting and sound, a backstage manager, a music director, and a tech director. These aren't small jobs and they shouldn't all fall on one person. One example of specific help we need is with set design. We used to have incredible sets. This year, there was a massive decrease in quality, as I'm sure some of you have seen. Additionally, when things aren't run properly, it not only causes delays and issues with rehearsals and shows, it can also become dangerous. The arts create something really special for some students, and it's more than an activity. For some, it's even their future. You build real friendships during those long rehearsals, and it becomes something you carry with you. This year, the senior high musical environment felt more stressful than enjoyable, and that is not how it should be. I'm worried that it could push people away from theater the same way it pushed people away from chorus. My hope is that the theater program and the arts as a whole will continue to grow and begin to thrive with the support of the school behind us. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Hello, my name is Sasha Kleinberger, and I would like to briefly speak about the time of my appointment from high school. A couple of months ago, I was in new school here. It created a negative classroom environment and it made it hard for students to feel supported and safe. Instead of encouraging us, the constant negativity made us feel anxious and discouraged. For some students, it became so overwhelming, several of us went for tears. We have gone to administration multiple times to address these issues and nothing has changed. So 4 of my friends and I attempted to address the issue ourselves. But unfortunately, it only got worse. You always hear people talking about their amazing time in high school, from football, pep band, and robotics, but for me it's the arts. And I love the arts, but I don't have the environment I need right now so that I have my amazing experience. The performing arts at Cold Spring Harbor High School have made me question if I want to pursue a career in theater. All I want is a place where I can have fun with my friends, grow as an artist, and enjoy my time learning. So this month I'm coming to you, the board, to ask for a safe environment at my own school for all of us performing arts students going forward. Hello, my name is Sam, and I appreciate you all being here. As a student of the school, I don't feel supported over. Further, my ability to grow and prosper as a student is what happened. Yet I feel as if the administration is not dedicated to the well-being of their students. Me and my fellow peers do not deserve to be put in these situations in which problems could easily be solved if the administration was open to hearing our voices, addressing our concerns, and listening. Oftentimes, students must make up for the administration's shortcomings in order to succeed. For example, I had to support my peers repeatedly after poor decisions made where we with no regard for the students' happiness. And this refers to not just one decision. Equally disappointing is when we are happy and thrive and we take that ripped away from us. It's not fair. If the administration would simply listen to the students' voices, get to know us, and respond when we ask for help, many of us would have avoided these adverse experiences. And yet, many of us feel unheard and have felt the consequences of their actions through emotional distress, sadness, anxiety, and overall poor experiences. I hope that if the volunteers I went to the school will be better than our school over all the years. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Sandra Riley, and I'm president of the program. I want to speak about the role of the arts in the district and whether they are truly valued in practice. The district emphasizes compassion, empathy, respect, this district emphasizes compassion, empathy, respect, and sense of belonging. For many students, like the ones that we have here tonight, those values are not just taught, they are experienced most deeply in the arts. Music, fashion, poetry, photography, just to name a few. These are not extras. They are where many students find their voice, their confidence, and their sense of belonging. These are the places when students choose to come, stay late, come early, work hard, not because they have to, but because they are inspired to. That inspiration comes from the mentors. The educators who lead these programs do more than teach content. They create environments where students feel seen, supported, and motivated. For students, these classes are the reason they feel connected to school at all. When the arts are treated as secondary, it sends a message, whether intentional or not, that the spaces and the people who lead them are not as valued, and students feel that. It's time to change what we value. If we truly believe in compassion and belonging, we must back that up, but having these as a priority. The programs, the mentors who make the students feel they belong. I encourage the district to seek student feedback through surveys assessing their experiences in the arts and with teachers, so their voices can help guide decisions about programs that matter deeply to them. The arts are not secondary for many students. They are essentials. And to what you were talking about, the budget, that Mr. Damboski just said, that they need some new furniture for Mrs. Oswald, I completely support that part of the budget, because the arts are not supported fully by this district. That's how it feels like. And these kids here that are talking today, to my point, they feel they belong to the arts. And they're not just talking about a class, they're talking about a future in the arts. And we are not feeling valued. I have been involved in the arts for as long as I can remember in this district. I've been pushing. I'm not a stranger to the arts, and a lot of people in this room know about that. It's time for the arts to have value, and for the district and the board to give them more value, because we don't feel the value for the arts. and for these students that are truly champions in this part of the district. Thank you.
Would anyone else like to speak?
I believe you brought up the possibility of having engagement with basic colleagues. And although now, although it's great to sit in a board meeting, and I certainly like great letters, there's no engagement, there's no conversation, there is no opportunity to problem solve, to strategize, to understand these humans that are deeply affected by these decisions. And this is who we are here to serve. I'm serving them as a parent, and you're serving as a board and an administration. Our only purpose is to serve them, giving them a voice and space to understand their experience, having people run our booster club, and hearing just being able to engage, I think would be vital in solving a problem that we currently have. And so I really
Separate topic. I'm Allison Meyerhans. I live in Wood Harbor. Many of us are here in support of a staff member that we've written to you guys about many times. And we're just wondering about observations on untenured teachers. How many are required? Are they receiving those observations? They're not. Are they getting feedback on that? Does that teacher need support? Is that teacher receiving the support? Or are they just, hundreds of people love them and support them, they're super confused about what's going on. So we would love to get some feedback on the processes, on kind of where these things come from, so you don't have students and parents emailing in and saying they're feeling overshot. So we'd love to get some specific
The previous speaker mentioned the shop that I think you all heard about, the letters and inquiries and I'm not sure what else about certain teachers. When I sat here and when I thought about that, you know, I'm not a teacher, but I've had teachers in school, college, and one thing that everyone always remembers is that wonderful teacher, the amazing teacher. And it felt to me, from all the feedback that I got, that we were discarding one beautiful teachers. And that to me is so strange. Now, 2 months ago, I stood up here at this podium, talked about another personnel issue that you guys were all holding about, and the opposite end of the spectrum. A teacher that maybe was not up to standard. Now, we have a teacher that's beloved by people, and there's a problem with that end of the spectrum too. So to me, the problem here is, I don't know, is it a talent evaluation issue? There's something amiss. Now, I don't expect this board to be in the middle of, you know, every small detail that's going on in each of the schools. But in the end, like I said 2 months ago, the buck stops with you. And now we have 2 prime examples, big examples, where something has failed. And the question is, what is this board going to do about it? It's the same thing that I said 2 months ago. What is this board going to do about that feedback? Something is not working. something is not working. But common evaluation, I don't know what other, things you might call it, but it's not working. And I'll just leave it at that. This is something that I talked about 2 months ago. You've heard a lot of people, letters from people, calls from people in the community, students, my kids, many other children, over and over again. So, there's got to be a change. There has to be a change. It's not working.
Hi, my name is Barbara, and I'm here tonight to share my perspective on what makes a teacher. For the past 3 years, I've been a student in an array of music classes at Woodford Harbor, as well as the private theater community. I've been exposed to various personalities in teaching styles. I've been encouraged by some and made to doubt my abilities by others. The stark differences in my experiences speaks to the impact that a single teacher can have on a student. At a time this year when I felt discouraged about the music department and I placed in it, it was the support and inspiration of one teacher who kept me engaged and willing to stay. It was this teacher who rescued my passion and made me feel like a silver medal. I was told by an administrator that decision regarding tenure and employment up in class, and I can understand. However, I also feel that a student's perspective is a vital part to this process. From where I stand, there was one music teacher who broke me down and another who built me up. Which type of teacher belongs in your faculty? I've also watched my classes evolve over the last few years under the direction of different teachers. I've seen peers quit music secondary to the influences of one teacher, while the program has grown significantly in the hands of another. When students feel supported and inspired, they choose to stay involved and participate. The adults in our lives can see our abilities manifest into success and pursuits. What can be made possible by students remaining motivated? That kind of engagement is something that benefits the entire school community. I ask again, which type of teacher do you want on your faculty? Lastly, I have friends in neighboring communities who rave about their high school arts programs. I can't help but notice the discrepancies in the communities that are fostered in these schools with the strong teachers that are valued and appreciated as their foundation. I hear a lot of talk about our district being one of the top schools in the state. Does that include the arts? Can it be if great teachers are not recognized for their students' experiences and not heard? What type of teachers do you want to represent your arts program in your community this year? I know what I want. I want a teacher like the one who saved me from giving up on myself. I want a program that is invested in valuing teachers who provide the environment that enables students like myself to flourish. We as students deserve it. Thank you.
I know the board I believe that everything is when I'm pretty involved there. I try not to involve myself in any administration issues. I have a very teacher administrator that she does do your job. I said that this is not a ceremony to me that never happened. But when there's something that comes up, because I really felt like it was injustice. This is a great parent. My first teacher was this year. I cried when I because I haven't had a teacher that understood my son the way that his teacher was.
And you just have to stop you, just be careful, it's not
Yeah.
going to discuss
Sorry.
student
Sorry.
issues, so any.
Everybody's talking about teachers, so I'm trying to kind of talk about my own experience with this teacher because I had a kid with an IEP. I spent a lot of time with each individual teacher every year, so I get to know them on a more personal basis than maybe an average parent-teacher conference. I know there's a teacher that I'm also speaking about that is very supportive of the arts too, so it kind of goes along with what we're all talking about here. And in a district that really prides itself in doing really well and excelling in athletics, I think we should put just as much emphasis into the arts. So I support everybody.
We will now move to approval of the minutes on page 1 and 2. February 10, 2026. Bill, you're absent on this one. Could I have a first? Bruce, a second. Alex, any questions? All in favor? Okay, moving on to the March 4th, 2026 minutes. Mark and Bruce were absent for this one. Could I have a first? Lisa, a second. Alex, any questions? All in favor? Okay, moving on to the March 10th, 2026 minutes. Kate, Bruce, Alex were absent. May I have a first? Lisa, a second. Bill, any questions? All in favor? March 17, 2026 minutes. Bruce and Bill were absent. May I have a first? Lisa, a second. Kate, any questions? All in favor? I'm up to March. March 20, 2026 minutes. Kate, Alex, and Bill were absent. May I have a first? Bruce, a second. Lisa, any questions? All in favor? Moving on to the March 26, 2026 minutes. Mark and Heather were absent. May I have a first? Bill, a second. Alex, any questions? All in favor? All right, moving on lastly to the March 31st, 2026 minutes. Bruce and Bill were absent. May I have a first? Alex, a second. Lisa, any questions? All in favor? We move to personnel recommendations of the superintendent. We will take the resignations and all appointments on pages 2 through 6 as a slate. May I have a first? Lisa, a second. Bruce, any questions? All in favor? Okay. We're going to take personnel contracts, pages 6 through 7 as a slate. May I have a first? Lisa, a second. Kate, any questions?
Let's see. So, okay.
No?
No.
All right. All in favor? Okay. We now move to business recommendations, donations. We will take the acceptance of donations and corresponding budget adjustments on pages 7 through 10 as a slate. May I have a first? Alex, a second. Lisa, any questions? Do you want to tell us a little bit about the donations, Joe?
Absolutely. So, let me get the first page. The first is a former teacher, Miss Mercer. She probably retired about 10 years ago. She was a science teacher, making a donation because she heard what happened over at West Side. Next is a family member at West Side making a donation of $1,000 again to help with the West Side fire and help out anything we can do in buying supplies. And next we have there was an October fundraiser by some of our students that's out there and raised a little over $200 again. Love to see the students involved in supporting the school and their district. The next is a ballet program through Cultural Arts that we do every year, supporting that. The Signal and Weather Hunters, this is where we're going to have retrieve data from a satellite on weather data and also have a weather station at the junior senior high school so the students will learn how to interpret that data, learn about cybersecurity, have our own weather station, so that's pretty cool there. Next, we have the chop saw. This is for two at Lloyd Harbor, two at West Side, one at Goose Hill. It's a device that is completely safe for any kid to use. It's really designed to cut cardboard, almost like a jigsaw, but completely safe. They can't hurt themselves. It can cut other up to 2 millimeters thick, or actually 2 pennies thick, might be 2 millimeters. Safely do designs. It's a wonderful product that kids are with. Yeah, you have one?
I've seen them on
They're very cool. They're very excited to have that. The Alumni Network, working with Mr. Dan Muskin, students at the junior senior high school. This was a student grant put together through the foundation to set up an alumni network. And correct me if I'm wrong, it's supported for the next 5 years?
Correct.
So to fund the program for 5 years to help students get in contact. We have one person actually right here. You were part of the program in the beginning. Do you want to share anything?
I'd like to say that I'm very excited and I'm very happy for this to start because there's a lot of schools like our school that have these alumni networks, and unfortunately we haven't had one in the past, but I'm very excited that we're now going to have one.
I think, back in about September when you started with the project with myself and Mr. Demboski, so very happy for that to come to fruition. Ready, Set, Read grant, this is the 2 librarians, one at one apartment, one at Westside. They want to do basically like a scavenger hunt type reading program over the summer where students would go through parts of the town to pick up books and just to make reading a little bit more fun during the months when they're not here in school. So they're excited to do that. And those were all, at the last couple ones, all supported by our Education Foundation. So I thank you to them again.
All right, any questions? All in favor? We now move to the following business recommendations. We will take budget transfers, health service contracts, and claims auditor reports on pages 10 through 11 as a slate. May I have a first? Kate, a second. Alex, any questions?
Question. The 10,000 to cover the cost of additional security at Westside, do we get reimbursed through
Yes,
insurance?
that'll be a fire cost that we get
That'll
reimbursed.
be, we'll get that.
Yes.
I point out and see we're spending 130,000 for 50% of the trips, just as a note. And for we, and that's it.
Okay. Any other questions? All in favor? We will now take additional business matters on pages 12 through 13 as a slate. May I have a first? Lisa, a second. Bill, any questions?
On H, what exactly is that corrective action plan are they providing us? Or is that just the title of such a report?
So we received our audit reports from our internal auditor. We received our detailed testing report on employee benefits. And as part of the requirements with the internal audit, which is a required action that has to take place for districts of a certain size, you have to submit a corrective action plan. So I wrote that corrective action plan to address all of the action items that the internal auditors were recommending, and that was included in Friday notes.
Very good. So our internal audit's complete?
Our internal audit was actually, these internal audits are for the prior school year.
Okay.
They are complete, and if you take a look at the, where is it? The letter of engagement, B, that is for the required internal audit detailed testing for this current school year, which when that is completed will bring us up to date with our internal audits.
And that's when they're doing that extra work. Okay, very good. Thank you.
All right, any other questions? All in favor? We move to special education reports. We'll take CSE, CPSE approval on contracts on pages 13 through 14. May I have a first? Kate, a second. Lisa, any questions? All in favor? We now move to other matters on page 14. May I have a first? Lisa, all right. A second. Bill, any questions? All in favor?
What's A mean?
Here we go. So, several years back, the teachers were excessed. So Mr. Towers was accessed from his position. We are required by law to have a preferred eligible list for 7 years. And anytime there's an available position, we have to send out letters to anyone on the preferred eligible list. And if they accept the position, they are then reinstated. So with the retirement of Ms. Atanasio in the Social Studies Department, we reached out to Mr. Towers and he has accepted the return, the recall letter to rejoin our staff as a full-time teacher.
Thank you.
All in favor? Okay. The agenda includes financial reports on page 14, and these reports are for informational purposes. No vote is necessary. If needed, Dr. Offerman Celentano will answer any questions from the Board of Education and public. Feel free to call her office. We now continue with our second audience to visitors. Is there anyone who would like to speak? Okay. Then we come to our second discussion section of the agenda. With any any board members like to speak on any matters?
The only thing I wanted to say, Allison, I thought of this earlier during your presentation and I made a note, just the budget hearing mailing, the like notice or the newsletter that goes out. I think there last year and possibly the prior year, we had complaints from some community members that it didn't come in like a timely manner. Do people remember that?
Yeah, it was.
So I just wanted that to be on your radar, that the mail was slow. So I don't know if we're ahead of that, but.
If you remember, I'm sorry, Alex.
Go ahead, that was it.
Yeah, we will, when we drop off at the post office, we're going to speak to them directly, saying that needs to go out. And if there's any other way we could get it done, it was there, and like we got, this one's on vacation, this one came back, and it sat there, I think it was there were all these stories. We dropped off like 2 weeks in advance, and some people got it 20 days later.
Yeah, I got it way
Way
later.
later.
Yeah, okay. So, I know there were community members who aren't in the mix who then got it after the fact and thought I would have gone to the hearing and I was not aware, so. Just letting you know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's like Florida mail. I'm sorry. It is.
Don't rag on Florida.
I know, but it is.
All right, anyone else? Okay, then I can ask for a motion to adjourn the meeting. May I have a first? Kate, a second, Lisa, all in favor?
Thank you, everyone.
That's it.